What's up everyone, Darcblade here with another episode in my Guide in Destiny series. In this episode we are going to be talking about the Sunsinger Warlock subclass. Now remember that these builds I use in these videos are builds that work best for me, and they might not work for you. Also, the damage numbers I quote are for PvP, as levels are balanced, whilst in PvE, damage can be a lot higher or lower depending on various factors like gear, level and so on. Lastly, the builds in these videos are based on the endgame content Destiny has to offer. The Sunsinger Warlock is a solar based class. They channel solar power through their bodies to infuse themselves and sometimes allies with rejuvenating power while at the same time burning enemies to cinders. Now firstly we're going to talk about the 3 grenade abilities the Sunsinger has in their arsenal. The first is the solar grenade. A grenade that creates a flare of solar light that continuously damages enemies trapped inside. This grenade is very similar to the Voidwalker's Vortex grenade. It creates a continuously raging inferno, almost like a miniature sun. The grenade has a 4 meter wide radius and deals 100 damage in PvP per second. The grenade will stay active for 3.5 seconds unless enhanced through gear modifications. This grenade has a number of pros to it. It can be used to deal massive damage to stationary or slow moving targets. It can be used nicely on large groups of enemies, and it can be used as a great deterrent to prevent enemies in both PvE and PvP from entering an area. A tip I can give you for this grenade is to aim for choke points, or when going for moving targets, aim at where the enemy is going and not where they actually are. The biggest con for this grenade is that it has quite a low radius. The next grenade is the FIREBOLT grenade. This grenade unleashes bolts of solar light at nearby enemies. Throwing the FIREBOLT grenade will create an initial ring of fire 8 meters in diameter, after which Firebolt seekers will be launched at targets. Up to 3 targets can be hit with these bolts, although I have read it is possible that it can hit 4 targets. Each target will take 80 damage whilst in PvP. The pros for this grenade is that it can be used easily to hit targets behind cover. Unlike other seeker grenades in the game, Firebolt grenades can be enhanced to do more damage thanks to Touch of Flame, giving the grenade a nice damage over time effect. Finally, with Radiance up, you will be doing some insane AoE damage, killing most enemies with this grenade. The AoE of the solar grenade can be easily dodged, and the fusion grenade needs to be aimed to be at its best. But using this grenade whilst Radiance is active allows you to just spam and produce some nice results. This will also mean that your team will be supplied with a large amount of orbs. The biggest con about this grenade is that it cannot kill harder targets easily. The last grenade is the fusion grenade. This explosive grenade causes a large amount of damage when attached to targets. The fusion grenade is a sticky grenade that will create a 5 meter blast radius and cause 100 damage to those caught inside. However, if the fusion grenade sticks to an enemy, it will cause 165 damage to that target. The pros for this grenade are that it can do wonders against high priority targets or bosses more than the other types of grenades. However, it needs to be aimed more than the other 2. It does come with a slight tracking mechanic, but you still need to throw with accuracy. In PvP, if the grenade is stuck to someone, it will kill all but the highest armoured titans. The 2 biggest cons with this grenade is that it has to be thrown with accuracy and has a small blast radius. Moving on to talk about the jumping abilities available to the Sunsinger. Your main jump ability is Glide. This allows the Sunsinger to glide through the air when activated. You can enhance the glide ability in various ways. The first enhancement is Focus Control. This upgrades your glide to give it better directional control whilst in the air. The second enhancement is Focused Burst. This upgrades the glide ability to provide it with an initial boost of speed. The last enhancement to the glide is Balanced Glide. This upgrades the glide ability to provide bonuses to both the speed of the ability and its control. None of these upgrades to glide are outstanding, and Balanced Glide is the best of the 3 enhancements for both PvE and PvP. The Sunsinger's super ability is Radiance. This fills the Sunsinger with pure solar light, giving the Warlock a dramatic increase in his or her abilities. Once activated, it will stay active for 13 seconds. During this time, the Sunsinger is granted damage resistance to all incoming damage. Your grenade and melee abilities recharge very quickly, and your melee strikes become a lot more damaging. The recharge speed of your grenades and melee abilities during Radiance also scale with your discipline or strength, giving you the potential to have your cooldowns reset in a second or two. A good tip with Radiance is to use up your grenade and melee abilities before you actually activate it, so you can maximise the cooldown buff that Radiance gives you. Now Radiance can be enhanced in 3 ways. The first enhancement is Song of Flame. During Radiance, your party will be affected by the Song of Flame, reducing the cooldown of all allies' abilities. This is a powerful support upgrade and is great for allies to spam their grenades and melee abilities. The Song of Flame has a radius of about 10 meters and lasts for 10 seconds, so it's wise to call out when you are going to use it. Allies who can get in range will be given the buff even if they are not near you when Radiance is cast. Allies who get into range will be given the buff even if they are not near you when Radiance is cast. The second enhancement is Radiant Skin. When you have Radiance active, it will reduce all incoming damage even further. This will make you even tougher to kill, and is a good choice for soloing in PvE or when playing in PvP. The third enhancement is FIREBOLT. This allows Radiance to be cast beyond death and thus return you to life. Once you are brought back to life, you will also be in the Radiance state with all of its buffs. This ability is a fire team lifesaver at times. It allows you to correct mistakes and prevent wipes. It can also be very nice for PvP ambushes. You just have to be aware of the enemy team learning that you do this tactic. However, one thing I found about FIREBORN is that I often found myself saving Radiance in case of a wipe, thus losing out on the potential damage increase it can give you. But at times, it is often worth saving it, especially in dangerous encounters. The Sunsinger's melee ability is SCORCH. This is a powerful solar melee attack that ignites enemies, leaving them with a damage over time effect. This dot causes 25 damage over 2.5 seconds, on top of the Scorch damage itself, which is 100. Scorch can also hit enemies up to 6 meters away. You can enhance Scorch in various ways. The first enhancement is Flame Shield. After you hit an enemy with Scorch, you'll gain a overshield for a short period of time. It's not the biggest shield, but can help you survive tricky melee situations. As a bonus too, you will also gain +1 armor by choosing this enhancement. The second enhancement is Solar Wind. This will allow Scorch to knock back enemies. This is not a bad upgrade, as it can push away opponents who get too close to you in both PvE and PvP, giving you some extra room between you and your enemies. The third enhancement is Brimstone. If you are able to kill an opponent with Scorch, this upgrade will cause the enemy to explode, damaging other nearby enemies. The explosion will cause 70 damage in PvP, and the radius is 5 meters. This basically turns Scorch into an extra grenade of sorts. Also, if you take Touch of Flame, enemies caught in the Brimstone explosion will also be affected with the damage over time effect. This works nicely in PvE, but is less effective in PvP. Now moving on to talk about the ability modifiers. Ability modifiers are found in the 6th row and the 8th row of the talent tree. Ability modifiers are split up into 2 tiers. For the Sunsinger, tier 1 has the following. The first option is Radiant Wheel. This will increase the duration of Radiance by 2 seconds, making Radiance last for 15 rather than 30. It's a small buff, yes, but could provide an extra grenade or 2. Also, if you're running Song of Flame, it means you'll get a little bit of extra damage from the whole fire team. The second option is Viking Funeral. This is a great option that will make enemies you ignite burn for longer, so it makes the damage over time effects, or dots, last longer. It basically doubles the burn time of the dots, making them last 5 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds, thus increasing the overall dot damage. This is one of my favourite options in tier 1. The last option is Sunburst. If you are able to kill an enemy with Scorch, then it has a chance to create orbs of light. This appears to be a pure support ability, but is highly reliant on you actually killing foes with Scorch. On the higher difficulties, this can be hard and lessens the value of this ability modifier. For the Sunsinger's tier 2 ability modifiers, you have the following. The first option is Touch of Flame. This allows all of the Sunsinger's grenades to ignite opponents and thus inflict a damage over time effect on them. the damage will be 25 over 2.5 seconds. Although this may seem small, if you are able to affect multiple opponents with this, then it can really do some nasty damage. It also works wonders when combined with the Viking Funeral ability modifier. The second option is Angel of Light. This allows you to stay in the air for a short time whilst aiming down sights during a jump. This also gives you +1 agility. It is a unique ability to catch enemies unaware in PvP and to reach unreachable targets in PvE. However, though it looks good, it can leave you a sitting duck, so drop down as soon as you start to take damage. The third option is Gift of the Sun. This allows the Sunsinger Warlock an additional grenade. Although you gain a second grenade, you need to be aware that the second grenade will charge at half the speed of your first one. Taking Gift of the Sun means that you have to sacrifice other ability modifiers, but you do gain some nice potential burst damage for both PvE and PvP. Next are the passive abilities. These are modifiers to your base stats, which include your armor, recovery and agility. These are found in columns 5 and 7 of the talent tree. Each of your passive stats can be modified from 0 to 10 maximum. Now I would say that these are down to personal preference at the end of the day. Again, these are divided into 2 tiers. In tier 1 you have the following. Option 1 is Arcane Wisdom. This gives you +2 agility and +2 recovery. Option 2 is Arcane Spirit. That gives you +2 armor and +2 recovery. Finally, option 3 is Arcane Force. That gives you +2 armor and +2 agility. With tier 2 you have the following. Option 1 is Ancestral Order. This gives you +2 armor, +2 agility and +2 recovery. Option 2 is Chaos Order. This gives you +5 agility. Option 3 is Divine Order, and this gives you +4 armor and +2 recovery. Now, Destiny is a game that can have multiple specs, and you should always use what is best for you. However, the spec I tend to use is as follows. I normally use FIREBOLT Grenade. This is because of the fact that it is better at taking down fast moving adds in general, more than others. Also, thanks to Viking Funeral and Touch of Flame, means that the low damage it has is increased with the damage over time effect. This being said though, I will switch to Fusion Grenade for bosses or Solar Grenade if I come across slow moving targets. With Glide, I take the Balanced Glide upgrade, as it's the most decent enhancement. With this enhancement, don't be afraid to turn on and off Glide whilst you're taking big leaps, as it can help you float across large gaps. With Radiance, I normally take the FIREBORN enhancement. This is because it has saved multiple wipes and really does come in handy. I do sometimes feel I cannot use the ability as much as I like, as the danger of wipes is always close during Nightfall missions and raids. However, if there are multiple Sunsinger Warlocks in the fire team using FIREBORN, I will switch to Song of Flame to provide its buff. As for Scorch, I normally take Flame Shield, as I rely on it for that little bit of extra survivability. With the ability modifiers, I always take Viking Funeral and Touch of Flame. I'm a big fan of damage over time effects, or DOTs, and this adds extra damage to all of the Sunsingers grenades. This being said, I can see why some people like to take Gift of the Sun for more burst damage. With the passive modifiers, I tend to focus on full armor and full recovery. Agility is not as important to my playstyle. With the build I use, as well as many other Sunsinger builds, I would advise stacking Discipline and Intellect, as this will greatly increase your grenade damage output because the Sunsinger grenades are some of the best in the game. It will also increase how often you can activate Radiance. Strength is less important, as the Sunsinger's grenades shine brighter than their melee abilities. Also, on the harder difficulties, getting into melee range is not always advisable for the Warlock. On a side note here, sometimes the intellect, discipline and strength you stack can be altered depending on exotic gear, but for the most, again I would advise discipline followed by intellect for the Sunsinger Warlock. Overall, I love the Sunsinger Warlock. It may be seen as a support class, but in the right hands can deal 13 seconds or 15 seconds of insane damage. It can clear waves of additional weaker foes during boss fights with ease. You really do need to get used to spamming your grenades with this class, but that's not hard, as the Sunsinger Warlock has access to some of the best grenades in the game. However, one of the Sunsinger's most unique aspects is its ability to be reborn after death and save a team if needed. you really have a lot of options when it comes to playing this solar class. Anyway, I've been Darcblade, bringing you my guide to the Sunsinger Warlock as I guide you through Destiny. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.